Can't wait for Resident Evil 5? Thought State of Emergency got a bad rap? Then step up, young practitioner of the macabre. Capcom has a game for you. Dead Rising is the publisher's first epic next-generation game. While it's certainly not for everyone, its combination of choice, violence, and comedy is a potent one.
Perfect.
Investigating a scoop in the sticks of Colorado, photojournalist Frank West doesn't really know what he's getting himself into.
What in the world?
Well, that is until he spies zombies using humans as chew toys. The government forces his chopper to land on the roof of a shopping mall, leaving Frank with 72 short hours to get the story and 3 long days to try and survive. Frank's not the only human in the shopping center. There's a faction of secret agents searching for the key to the mystery, and plenty of helpless small employees that Frank can rescue and take to safe haven. Not to mention a group of nefarious villains bent on stopping Frank and his allies at all costs.
Everyone used to laugh at me.
What's most surprising about Dead Rising's story is that it's full of comedy.
Clean up! Register 6!
If you're expecting a glum adventure, you'll certainly be surprised. The game still has a serious creep factor, but it's nothing that'll keep you awake at night. The story will also change slightly depending on what happens in the game. It never drastically alters the overall outcome, but it's nice that Capcom went the extra mile to flesh out some of the what-ifs. The real strike against the story is that it's basically the same exact concept behind George Romero's horror classic Dawn of the Dead. Capcom has already proven that it's capable of creating its own zombie-driven prose, so it's a little confusing as to why it decided to so shamelessly borrow for this game.
A non-believer in our midst.
When you first boot up Dead Rising, you have just one option, the 72-hour mode. Here, there are 2 different kinds of missions. Some move the primary plot forward, while scoops are essentially side missions you can choose to complete if you want. Regardless of whether you're on the primary quest or completing the scoop missions, 90% of the objectives involve either rescuing someone in distress or picking up an item in one spot and taking it to another. Which is easier said than done when there are hundreds of zombies in between. The freedom the mission structure gives you to carve out your own path is nice, but the downside is that those who choose not to complete any of the side missions will find themselves sitting around waiting for the clock to strike a specific hour for the next main mission to become available. With all the carnage going on around you, it's easy to forget that the real reason Frank is in the mall is to get his story. To do this, you'll have to take pictures. The snapshots are then rated based upon how well centered they are and what's in the shot. Zombies attacking will give you a horror rating score, while taking photos of the females in the game will give you an erotica rating. The better the photo, the more points you'll get, which brings us to one of the more interesting aspects in Dead Rising.
Please, talk to us.
Believe it or not, the game includes some RPG elements. Everything you do, from dropping zombies to taking snapshots and completing missions, rewards you with points. These points then randomly upgrade Frank's abilities. You won't be grinding him up to a level 56 paladin, but his health meter will increase, he'll learn new combat moves, and he'll obtain new slots for weapons and items. When you first begin the game, you're confined to a very small portion of the mall, but as the main plot lurches forward, new areas become unlocked, though they're all approximately the same, just with different stores. Dead Rising's design is far more robust than you'd expect. The environments are a little repetitive, and the abundance of escort missions can get old, but the amount of choice you have and how you play the game more than makes up for it. Despite all the mission objectives and photography, the real crutch of Dead Rising is killing zombies. And boy, does the game give you a million ways to do it. Literally everything is a weapon. Stuffed animals, katanas, chainsaws, sledgehammers, any inanimate object you can think of can be used to put the undead back in their graves. There are guns, but with so many zombies and so few bullets, it's impractical to try and lean on them. The weapons are very well balanced. While highly effective blunt trauma instruments will break and disappear rather quickly, the less powerful items tend to last a lot longer. While it's not particularly realistic for a bowling ball to disintegrate, it keeps you from leaning on one ultra-powerful weapon to waltz through the game. The combat controls could be better. The left trigger will bring up your camera for snapshots, and the right trigger will allow you to aim weapons in first person. However, when adjusting the aim of either, you're asked to use the opposite analog stick. It takes a little while to get used to, but it's nothing you won't be able to conquer with time. It's also impossible to aim accurately and move at the same time, so if this bothered you in Resident Evil 4, you're going to get another dose of it here. With that said, Dead Rising's biggest gameplay flaw is the AI of the computer-controlled characters. The zombies are fine, but a lot of the survivors you're asked to rescue will run straight into piles of the undead, or just stop walking altogether. While the insane boss fights are certainly the highlight of the game, many of them will get stuck on parts of the environment, making them easy pickings. The gameplay in Dead Rising isn't particularly tight or innovative, but it's not broken either. The control scheme could be more intuitive, and the humans in the game seem just as brainless as the zombies, but the tools are here to complete the game with minimal aggravation. The enjoyment you glean from Dead Rising is directly proportional to how much you enjoy using new weapons to kill zombies. If things like this have bored you in the past, then it's off to the rental store for you, but at the same time, assessing the game solely upon this trait is to sell it short. There are so many missions to complete and survivors to save that for the enthusiast, playing through it just one time will not be enough. And with the light RPG elements, solid graphics, and plenty of choice, it ensures that no two people will survive these visceral 72 hours the same way.